Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to ITB TV. We had so much fun doing this last week and got such great feedback that Adam and I have decided we should, as long as there's Eagles news, we should try to do these videos in between the podcasts as much as possible, Adam. And of course, there's lots of big news, and we're going to kind of get into that in a minute. I just want to start off this video by saying, first, we wish everyone great health. We hope everybody's staying inside, staying healthy, staying happy, and making it through. And we're happy to be able to do this and help people make it through their downtime at home. And ITB would just like to thank all the doctors, nurses, medical staff people, law enforcement, military, first responders, people working in the stores right now that are essential, like grocery stores and places like that. We very much appreciate, we sincerely appreciate all of your service. And I know Adam feels that way too. And Adam, it's good for us to be able to do this. And I know a lot of people have said to us that they look for, they're waiting for us to drop the stuff a little earlier because they're just at home fiending for it. So I feel good that we're able to provide this service for our fans and listeners.
Yeah, this is an addendum to our normal show. We do a big show. In case you're new with us, we in the off season, which will basically be through August probably. We're going to be on every Monday morning and Thursday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern. And what we're going to do, Geoff and I are also going to do a video a week. This one is an addendum to our last show because there's not Eagles news per se, but we got a lot of questions about why they didn't sign this receiver and that receiver.
Right.
We could just follow up our reporting from the combine, which still holds true. And we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, definitely want to thank, went into Wegmans and Whole Foods, Geoff, this week. Mm-hmm. My wife and I are going food shopping just once a week. And I got to tell you, there's people in a way are putting their lives on the line because what if somebody coughs on them?
Right.
Who's got the coronavirus? And in the Whole Foods where I live, they have a glass shield up in front of the cash register so if someone coughs or sneezes, they don't get hit. Smart move.
Smart move.
But I really do appreciate people doing that. And it's kind of eerie, Geoff, to go to these grocery stores and see the entire shelving empty.
Yeah, no doubt about it. These are some strange times.
Yeah, it is. Very strange.
So it's also some strange times in the NFL with the Eagles. When we last left,
Yeah.
I know, right? When we last left our listeners with either the podcast and both the video, we kind of emphasized that we've been reporting since the combine that the Eagles were not going to be in on any of the wide receivers. You and I have both been steadfast on that. It's proven correct so far. But we did say, we kind of left the door open saying, hey, look, price is a big thing here. These guys are expected to get overpaid. We did say maybe if the market really destabilizes at the position and the price tags come down, maybe that's an opportunity where you see Howie Roseman get involved. Well, some guys signed today. Robbie Anderson signed, Philip Dorsett signed, and just moments ago before we started doing this, our man Brashad Perriman signed, and the prices were actually pretty low. So this is now to me the best indication that what we were told is just steadfast and this thing isn't changing. The Eagles aren't spending money on a wide receiver.
Yes. So when I reported for us at the combine that they were not going to get involved with the receiver position, my understanding was from multiple sources that they wanted to build with their own players around Wentz. They didn't want to build with other players that were not theirs, like Alshon Jeffrey, other guys they brought in. That obviously Jeffrey worked for a while. We know where that situation is. It's not going to end well one way or the other. Mm-hmm. So when you look at it, they really want guys around Carson for years. I'm not talking 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. They want, if it works out, 5, 6, 7 years down the line. And clearly two of them that they're going to take in this draft, they'd like those two of those guys to be that. And I wouldn't rule out 3 receivers. It just depends on, right now they have 8 picks. They're down, they lost 20% of those picks in the trade for Slay last week. So they went from 10 to 8. But, they could trade back. And as we go along here, because I know a lot of people are starting to mock now the free agency's really slowed down, which he does in the second week. So then the question is, and I got a lot of this on Twitter. I had some time to kill today in between some stuff. So people want to know, why not Perriman? What if he, you mentioned the price. The price is what I'd said last week, 2 for $12.
Yeah.
It wound up being 1 for $6, plus some upside. Fully guaranteed at signing. Now, as I said on the show last week, if you and I were running it, we're signing Brashad Perriman. Now, here's why a lot of teams I spoke to looked at him as a $2 or $3 million player. The teams I spoke with do not, other than there were 2 teams that liked him, Jets and another team. The Jets see him competing for a starting job, okay? Crowder is their slot receiver. They'll figure out who's going to line up on the other side, and Perriman is going to have some competition. The way the league sees him as a backup receiver, $2 to $4 million. Okay, we know that Perriman, Geoff, had a very bad injury history. Remember, he missed his rookie season. Do you know this is his 6th year?
Yeah,
he's his 6th year. He missed.
He came out the same year as Nelson Aguilar.
Correct, 2015. So he really ended his season well. Talking to the Bucs, they were very complimentary of him. He obviously had a lot of urgency because he was on a contract year, did a great job. He's never been a full-time starter in his life. And it's hard to ask a guy 6 years in or to know that he can do it. And teams simply were not going to – $6 million is a starting receiver money. Right. It might be low-end starter, but that's starter money. So that's why he didn't find the deal that he wanted. But you know what? $6 million is pretty good for a guy who's never done before.
Right. No, you're right. And I think what really struck me, Adam, was that Philip Dorsett is a guy who had some success in New England, has some speed, 4.3 speed. He signed with the Seahawks on a 1-year deal that I believe was reported about $2.5 million, which is basically nothing. And if you're not going to add that to your team. Oh, and by the way, I was told that from a source that I trust impeccably that the Eagles were looking into Travis Benjamin at one point, and he signed with the 49ers on a 1-year deal, which I believe is very low money also. If you're not paying $2.5 million for a guy like Dorsett who brings speed or whatever it is the Niners paid for Benjamin, or maybe he just chose them. I don't know the background to that, but it just goes to show that this is not where the Eagles are going. And I was also told today, and I think you may have heard the same, that it's not just even about wide receiver. It is about building around the draft, but I don't think they're going to be spending any more money in other areas of free agency.
Yeah,
I can't
I heard
definitively tell you that they're not. And the source basically said he suspects that this is what you've seen is what you're getting from the Philadelphia Eagles right now.
Yeah, and I think, Geoff, when you look at kind of the landscape at the wide receiver position, there's nothing left for who would right now. There's only one speed guy, Paul Richardson. I'm told the Eagles aren't interested. He was a next up and coming deep threat, not like Deshaun, but he was a step below. Too many injuries. People ask me about Taylor Gabriel, too small. It's between 5'7" and 5'8". By the way, he's a slot receiver. You could use him outside, but he's too small. Right. He doesn't solve it. Again, to summarize this, they really want to build with their own guys, let them grow with Carson. Now, I emphasize the people who came at me a little bit on, what is today, Tuesday?
Today is
I don't
Tuesday.
understand this. Why can't, this is not right. They got to get veteran receivers in there. I get it. Jeff and I kind of agree with you. I think you agree.
Yeah. You got to separate the message from the messenger here.
Give me DeMarcus Robinson.
Sure.
Okay. I would do that in a heartbeat for $2 million.
I would even
really
take
special teams player and his 4th receiver.
Yeah, I would take a shot on Paul Richardson. He never stays healthy, but I mean, if we're talking about a 1-year deal for very, very little
1.5,
money,
I know. But here's the problem, though. Deshaun, significant injury history. You can't do it. I have the sensibility from talking to NFL people, Geoff. I get where they're coming from. I'm not saying specifically with the Eagles, but when they look at free agency, it's buyer beware. The Eagles, because they've had great pro scouting, I don't know how they've done it, but since Roseman came back, I mean, if you look at the moves he's made, the misses have been so small, cost them so little money. It's the medium to big ticket items. They've got them all right. Even Patrick Robinson, for Christ's sake, who didn't look like he was going to be a player for 2 bad weeks of practice, then he turned it on.
Right.
So it's hard for me to knock them because they're evaluating the pro players very well. The vetting has obviously been very good, but they have a philosophy now that they want to get younger, and they want these guys. You look at Hargrave, by the way. He's the exact type of guy that they're looking for. Right. If you're going to go into free agency, they want a guy. And by the way, Pittsburgh wanted him back, and he actually said on the conference call that Buffalo was interested, which I found to be interesting. I don't think, I know Buffalo wasn't going to pay. I know that for a fact. But to pay anywhere close to what the Eagles gave him. But this is, to summarize this, Geoff, they want to get younger, save a couple places. There's nothing you can do about the offensive line now because those guys are locked in. But even those guys, look, in 2 or 3 years, they're going to be gone.
Right.
That's the reality to it.
I used the word on an earlier podcast and also on our InsideTheBirds.com website when I wrote a story, building block free agents. That's the type of guys that for the most part, they're going to give money to. Guys who are going to be more than just a year, guys who are young, guys who can help build around. Certainly Hargrave, as you just mentioned, fit the bill. Now, the one thing, Adam, that I can see the Eagles doing at the wide receiver position that doesn't involve spending in free agency is executing a trade. Now, I don't know who, but we pointed this out, whether it was Ronald Darby a couple of years ago in August or other players they've been able to bring in at linebacker in the past. Howie's very good at making a trade. And the one name...
They're not giving up picks, Geoff.
Just I know.
No way in hell.
Yeah. I'm wondering if there's the Rasul Douglas was on the block. I wonder if there's if any connection or even a future something rounder for, Curtis Samuel's name came up from the Panthers because they signed Robbie Anderson. They have DJ Moore. He has speed. He's obviously not going to cost a lot.
Yeah, the yards per catch, Geoff, on him, he's been knocked for it. It's more because of the quarterbacks, I'm told, last season.
Mm-hmm.
I actually asked about him a couple weeks ago when I was at the Combine. I don't know, 3 weeks ago, whatever the hell it was. But I just wanted to learn more about what happened to him last season. They use him a specific way, shorter routes, but you're right. He's I think number 10 on the Panthers. He could absolutely run. But the fact of the matter is, Geoff, when you look at their situation with picks, they want to keep him. Now, let me add on Ngakoue because I got a bunch of questions. We pretty much outlined it correctly last week, but I'm told as of Tuesday morning, teams that have checked into it are told right now he's not available. Now, Dave Caldwell, the GM, could change his mind. If you have any urgency, it's going to come closer to the draft because you're going to want to get a first-round pick. That's the belief around the league is it's going to take at least a first-round pick.
Right.
Why would you give up a really talented young player for less than a first? It's ridiculous.
No, I understand that. The only reason you would do it is if you didn't think he was going to play for you or if you just weren't getting a better offer.
Yeah, but you have to feel like, well, you just hit on it, the former.
Mm-hmm.
He made it clear he don't want to play there. He's not going to be there. It's just a matter of when do they accept it and try to get as much as you can. And believe me, if the Jaguars start shopping him, you'll have at least a half a dozen teams involved.
Right. And then, of course, the situation changes where you'll pay the money. Right now, they're not paying any money. You'll pay the money for a guy like Yannick Ngakoue.
It's a big number, man. It's 21 to 22 million a year. That's kind of what I'm hearing that he's going to want. And that's now.
Does he deserve that? You think he deserves that?
Okay. Now, I know people knock him because he's smaller. Okay, he's between 6'2 and 6'3.
Mm-hmm.
High character. Never have to worry about him. Play with a hamstring injury. He did it for his teammates. When he had I'm told, a grade 2 hamstring strain. It should have been 3 to 5 weeks. He came back in less than that when he really shouldn't have. One of the premier speed rushers in the league, but he's not. And people say, well, he needs to have 14 sacks or you're going to give up, or 12 sacks. You know what? And it might happen if he goes to a team like Philly or somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
As far as let me just address this before we move on. For the Eagles to be involved, well, first of all, here's what I do know. When has Howie Roseman never made a call for a player who's rumored to be on the block or might be available at some point? I'll leave it at that.
No, I mean, he always makes a call.
Yeah, so don't worry about that. You don't got to worry about that.
Yeah, he'll be aggressive enough. Do you think, real quick, that in light of this not wanting to spend money on the Eagles' part and a guy like, say, Jadeveon Clowney still being available at this point in free agency, that maybe any fears of an economic recession are driving any personnel decisions around the league? I mean, you saw what the Sixers did today and then had to walk that back.
Yes, that was ridiculous. Yeah, good for Josh Harris to walk that back. But, in Clowney, he wants way too much money. He's going to have to get realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Seahawks, I'm told, want him back, but he's not going to get the 20-plus million that he was looking for from according to multiple sources. This is not going to happen. I'd be shocked if it did. Plus, we're in the second week of free agency, Geoff. Very few players in free agency get what they were looking for. They're going to take a minimum of 25% pay cut in terms of what they wanted to 75%. I mentioned this before. Bill Polian said, and I love it, first 2 days of free agency, Neiman Marcus. After that, Filing's basement. That's where we are.
That is basically free agency to a T, my friend. And hey, look, if the Eagles aren't going to spend any more money, then I don't know what we're going to talk about for the next week or two. But something tells me, I was going to say,
we're hitting the draft. I am so into the draft now. I promised people we turn the page.
Uh-huh.
Our Thursday show will be on it. We're all over the receiver position. Boy, do I have some good bleep.
Yeah.
I know you do.
Yeah.
We got stuff on Rager.
I feel like you and I are going to lead that Monte Rager train because we were back on this a couple of weeks ago when I said he's back to running a 4-3.
Jalen Rager.
I'm sorry, Jalen Rager. Yes, his dad.
So you and I have heard that he lost 10 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the deal on him. This is all we're going to say tonight on him. He taped his time speed was 4.47. I'm told teams had 4.43 on him at the combine. He plays to in the mid 4.3s.
Mm-hmm.
Incredibly physical. Unbelievable high character. You might remember his dad who played for the Eagles, Monte Rager. And good returner. He had 2 big ones. I actually saw I've actually got some requested and got some coaching tape on him. This kid's real interesting. He's just under 6 feet. His play speed is remarkable. I've heard that from like 3 personnel guys I trust. They all like the kid. They know what he is. You have to be careful with 140 time. But what I'd said a couple weeks ago to people was this. You mentioned this about how the coronavirus is hurt. He can't work out for teams.
Right.
Teams would like to see him run a 4.4 or a 4.37. Is it really going to matter? He's going to go in the first round. I'm going to make a bet with anyone. I think he goes in the first round.
I agree with you.
21 to 31. There's 6 teams that could use a receiver in the first round. Between 21 and 31.
Which will be very interesting to see.
Yep.
I don't think he was on anybody's first round radar a couple of weeks ago. We'll see. I remember you laughed at me a couple of weeks ago when I said an agent told me he was doing a virtual pro day, right, for some teams where he was going to have his guy run the 40 while he put the iPhone on him.
That's unbelievable.
I saw another agent on Twitter said the same thing, that this is kind of I don't want to call it a cottage industry, but it's a thing now that agents are trying to do these virtual pro days.
Hey, little nugget. Okay, speaking of that. Teams are doing Skype and Zoom.
Definitely. FaceTiming.
Yeah. Well, they've done it before.
Right.
There are limits. I'm told there are limits on how many you can do with players per week, but the Eagles can do it, and I'm sure they will do it with Rager. But the fact of the matter is, KJ Hamler, by the way, they did a formal interview at the combine with him.
Right.
His market's like 21 to 40-ish. He's intriguing, but he is small, 5'8.5". You got to be careful with that stuff. But he could fly.
I can tell you, by the way, that the Eagles, and more specifically wide receivers coach Aaron Moorhead, new wide receivers coach, has FaceTimed already within the past few weeks with Jalen Rager. So
nice.
obviously
Rager.
He's doing it with probably every single wide receiver prospect, but that is one of them. Yeah.
I wonder if that counts as a visit.
That right now, I have no idea.
It's the top 30. Yeah,
man, I'm just happy we got NFL draft news to talk about at the moment.
Awesome.
All right, so that's going to do it for this edition of Inside the Birds TV. Listen, thanks to everybody who's been watching, who's been checking out our work and Andrew DeCecco's work, his all 22 breakdowns on InsideTheBirds.com. We're doing mailbags, we're doing stories, so really happy that everybody's been checking that out, checking out the podcast on every major podcast platform, and visiting our YouTube page where you're watching this right now. Just want to thank everybody. Hang in there. We'll get through this together. We've got Eagles news. We got NFL news. At least we have that. All right. We'll catch you on the next edition of Inside the Birds TV. Take care, everyone.